Greetings gamers, I'm Anto, and today we're talking about how to create magic items for your D&D games. D&D in all of its editions is filled with wondrous magic items, but sometimes what's in the books just won't cut it and you want to make something truly unique for your players. Well, that is actually the subject of this month's D&D Tubers Challenge. D&D Tubers is a subreddit for anyone that makes D&D content here on YouTube to get together and discuss ideas, share tips, and inspire each other. This month's challenge was creating a magical item, and my fellow YouTuber Super Panda did a video where they drew this awesome looking bow that we're going to be statting up today. I'll leave a link to Super Panda's video as well as the D&D Tubers subreddit down in the description below. This is actually a really good way of creating magical items. Find a piece of art that you really like and then create stats to fit that. Doing it this way gives you a really good visual starting point of what sort of powers the magical item might have and can help inspire other ideas as well. So the first thing you want to do when you're making a magic item is decide how powerful it's going to be. You don't want to be handing an item worth 100,000 gold to your first level party. Looking at this bow, I think it should be a pretty high level magic item, something that the characters could take into high level play and still get some use out of. The next thing to do is decide whether you want your magic item to be purely offensive, more of a utility item, or a blend of both. Personally, I think that really high level magic items should be able to do damage and have some utility, so for this bow we're going to be dipping into a little bit of both of those elements. As soon as I saw the bow, I thought that it looked really interesting. The light elements in particular really sparked my imagination. It looks like it is being held together by light itself. This immediately sparked something in my mind, and I thought this bow has to have been wielded by the Sun Lord, the herald of the Everlight, the goddess of the sun. With a body bound together by pure holy light and a bowstring supposedly made from the robes of the Everlight herself, this was going to be an item of serious religious significance. So I have a general idea of the background of this weapon. Now it's time to actually give it some stats. We'll start with the Composite Longbow. I like the differences to the normal longbow that the composite bow has, and we'll give it a +3 bonus. A +3 bonus warrants this sort of high level magical item, and once we add all the extra stuff onto it, I think it'll be a really powerful piece of equipment. So next I want to add some extra offensive flavour to the item. Just a +3 bow isn't really that interesting, so we want to give it some special rules to really elevate the fact this is an item of serious religious significance. Because this bow was once wielded by the Herald of the Everlight, I think that it should deal holy damage, which is 2d6 of extra damage when used against any evil creature. So that gives us a +3 composite longbow that deals an extra 2d6 of damage anytime you're targeting an evil creature. So when you're fighting evil, this is going to be quite a powerful magic item that is fitting of its religious significance. That's a really strong base mechanically, but I want to add something a little more flavorful to it, something that isn't going to necessarily impact combat in a huge way, although it could, but something that really speaks to the heart of the item. I think it would be really cool if any arrow that was knocked into this bow immediately started shining as if it had daylight cast on it. That's a really cool symbol of the Everlight's power flowing through the item, but it's also a really useful tool for navigating dark dungeons or any sort of encounter in which darkness is an issue, or if you're fighting against anything that has sunlight vulnerability. So with our mechanics sorted, it's time to price the bow up. We'll start with our +3 weapon, which going by the Game Master's guide is 18,000 gold. Next we'll add Holy, which is the equivalent of a +2 bonus, which adds an extra 8,000 gold to our price. And finally, we don't typically add direct spells like Daylight to a weapon very often, so it can be a little bit difficult to price something like this, but I think something in the region of a +2 or a +3 bonus in cost would be fair. I'm leaning towards +3 cost just because of how religiously significant this item would be. So that adds on another 18,000 gold onto the price of this item. The last thing we need to do is give our item a name, and I think something like this needs a suitably epic name, something like Shadow's Bane. So here you can see the stats for Shadow's Bane, the magically enchanted composite longbow once wielded by the Herald of the Everlight, goddess of the sun. Let's recap what we did to get to this item. We started out by finding some inspiration for our item in the form of an image. We decided how powerful we wanted our item to be based on the party level that would be receiving this item. We added the bonuses and special abilities for our items. I used the Pathfinder rules for magical item creation, but every edition has some. Then we gave it some extra flavor in the form of a cool non-offensive spell. And finally, we priced everything up and generated a stat block. Now, what your stat block looks like is going to depend on your edition, whether or not it needs attunement or anything like that, but this is what I ended up with for Shadow's Bane. So there we have it. With maybe 15 minutes worth of work, you can take an inspiration like an image of an item and turn it into a fully statted item that you can give to your players and that they can use in your campaign. I really hope that you found this video helpful and it gave you some ideas and made it less intimidating to go out and make your own magic items. If you've created magic items of your own, I'd love to hear about them down in the comments below, especially if they've got some cool art attached to them. Post that down in the comments below as well. If you haven't already, make sure to check out Super Panda's video on creating this awesome artwork for the bow, and check out the D&D Tubers subreddit. But until next time, happy gaming. If you're new here and like what you see, make sure to hit the subscribe button. I release new RPG related content every single week. And if you enjoy what I do here, consider supporting me on Patreon. You get access to behind the scenes video, early access to the regular videos, exclusive content, and a whole bunch more. And if you want to keep watching, I've got a couple of videos over there that you might enjoy. And until next time, happy gaming.